What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Mets Central. This is Mets fan reaction game 112, where the New York Mets get a much needed win against the St. Louis Cardinals as they defeat them 6-0 and have a nice rebound win just after a terrible and poor 3-game set against the Los Angeles Angels, where they dropped 2 out of 3 in that series. Now, listen, there was multiple reasons why the Mets had to win this game. One, because like I mentioned before, they lost that 3-game set to the Angels and they started a 10-game road trip. You did not want to start this 10-game road trip by going 1-3. You just didn't. Second of all, you're playing against the St. Louis Cardinals, a team that you're fighting for a last wildcard spot. And third, this game would have determined the tiebreaker for the Mets and Cardinals. And thankfully, the Mets won it. So now they own the tiebreaker against St. Louis Cardinals. So hypothetically, if it comes down to the end of the season and the Mets and the Cardinals hold the same record and they're the two teams for the final wildcard spot, the Mets would now get the final wildcard spot because of the tiebreaker. And listen, now after this win, you're 2-2 on the road trip. Now you head to Colorado for a 3-game set. I'm going to be straight and honest with you guys. Anything less than a series sweep against the Colorado Rockies is a disappointment and a failure. The Mets should have swept them last month when they had the 3-game set Citi Field. They didn't. They took 2 out of 3. But now, especially after you lost that Angel series, you got to sweep them. You're the better team. Go take advantage of a poor Rockies team and show and justify why David Stearns and the front office bought for you guys at the trade deadline. But yeah, going back to this game, the one thing that really impressed me tonight or this afternoon, the one thing that really impressed me, Sean Manaea, terrific. He was terrific. He followed up his last start, a terrific start against the Minnesota Twins, where he went 7 innings, 1 walk, and 11 strikeouts. And typically, you tip your hat to Manaea, say great job, but typically you expect, okay, he had a great start this game. Probably the next start he's going to go back to the old Sean Manaea, where he's only giving you 5 innings of work. He's driving up his pitch count early in the game. He's walking a lot of guys. Yeah, he'll be mediocre. He'll only let up 3-4 runs maybe, and you're like, okay, that's what I expect. But hey, listen, I got to give him major credit because he followed up that performance by maybe even a better one today. I know he gave up less hits in the last start against the Twins, but the one thing that really impressed me with Sean Manaea, right, and it's the one thing we complain about about his game, right? It's the walks. Tonight, Manaea had 0 walks. Terrific. Just terrific. And again, he gave you the 7 innings of work, which is something, we've all begged for with his rotation. Length. He's now giving you length for 2 starts in a row. And it was kind of similar to Jose Quintana because in the Twins series, Quintana pitched the game before. He gave you 6 innings, pitched really good. And then as we saw in the final game of the Angels series, Quintana pitched again, and he only gave you 5 innings. Was he horrible? No, but he wasn't great either. And, we thought, like I mentioned before, we would see the same with Sean Manaea tonight. But the guy was just terrific. I mean, you listen to this. I mean, this is crazy. This is his last 2 starts as a combined line. Shout out to Jolly Olive for he gave you the stat line on Twitter. Make sure you guys check him out on Twitter and on YouTube as well. He gives you fantastic baseball content. But his last 2 starts, 14 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 8 hits, 1 walk, 21 strikeouts. And listen, that's an impressive line, right? But what was working for him well in that Twin start was once again working well for him in this start. He had that he was working well with the high fastball, getting a lot of swings and misses with that today, and as well as his slurve. His slurve got him a lot of swings and misses as well, and they got him a lot of ground balls, which then led to outs. So listen, credit to Sean Manaea. He pitched well. The offense, while it wasn't, the greatest today, you really got the big hit that really helped the Mets win today was Tyrone Taylor in the 5th inning, where he got a bases clearing double. So, but in other regards, was the offense totally great? No, not really. But you know what? Anytime you get a terrific outing from your starting pitcher like that, sometimes the offense doesn't have to be great. It just has to be clutch at times. And Tyrone Taylor in that instance today was clutch. I mean, and today you saw before the game, Carlos Mendoza, he did switch up the lineup a bit. Not like grand changes, but there was definitely little tweaks. I mean, Lindor kept his leadoff spot. Tyrone Taylor filled into the filled into the 2 hole today. You saw Nimmo go down to the 3 hole. JD Martinez go to the 4 hole, and Pete Alonso batted 5th. So not really major changes, but just a little cosmetic changes here and there. But other than that, the lineup stayed the same. So yeah, listen, it was a really good overall team win, which was led by just a great performance by Sean MANAEA. So yeah, now let's actually get into the game recap. And before we do that, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. We really appreciate your support on the channel, and we want to keep feeding you guys Mets content here on the channel. Potentially heading into the playoffs. So yeah, make sure you guys do that. Also, make sure to turn on post notifications to let you know anytime a video is uploaded or anytime we go live on the channel. So yeah, now let's actually get into the game recap. Like I mentioned before, Sean MANAEA was on the mound for the Mets, and you had Andre Pallante on the mound for the St. Louis Cardinals. We go to the top of the first. Francisco Lindor leading off. He would ground out to Brendan Donovan at second base. Tyrone Taylor would then ground out to Nolan Arenado at third, and Brandon Nimmo would ground out to Brendan Donovan at the end of the inning. So a nice 1-2-3 inning for Pallante. Then moving on to the bottom of the first, Sean MANAEA would strike out Mason Wynn. He'd get Tommy Pham to pop out to Jose Iglesias at third, and he would get Wilson Contreras to strike out the end the inning. Then top of the second, JD Martinez would strike out. Pete Alonso would walk. Jose Iglesias would then hit a single. Jeff McNeil would then hit into a force out. So second and third there. I'm sorry, first and third there for the Mets. Then next a wild pitch by Andre Pallante, and Pete Alonso would score on that play to put the Mets up 1-0. Then Francisco Alvarez would ground out sharply to Nolan Arenado to end the inning. Then bottom of the second, Paul Goldschmidt would be called out on strikes. Nolan Arenado would then hit a double. Alec Burleson would then fly out to Harrison Bader in center, and Brendan Donovan would strike out the inning. Then top of the third, another easy inning for Pallante. He would get Harrison Bader to pop out to Pedro Pajes behind the plate. Francisco Lindor would then strike out, and Tyrone Taylor would ground out to Nolan Arenado to end the inning. Then bottom of the third, Pedro Pajes would hit a single. Victor Scott would hit into a force out. MANAEA would then get Mason Wynn to fly out to Tyrone Taylor and right. Tommy Pham would hit a single. Nothing going there for the Cardinals, though, as on the very next at bat, Sean MANAEA would get Wilson Contreras once again to strike out. Then top of the fourth, Brandon Nimmo ground out to Mason Wynn sharply. JD Martinez would line out to Victor Scott in center field, and Pete Alonso would ground out to Brendan Donovan at second base to end the inning. Then bottom of the fourth, Paul Goldschmidt would pop out to Pete Alonso at first. Nolan Arenado would then pop out to Francisco Lindor at short. Alec Burleson would hit a single. Brendan Donovan would then get a single. So first and second there for the Cardinals with 2 outs. MANAEA, though, would bulk down as he would get out of the inning by striking out Pedro Pajes. Then top of the fifth, going through this inning, we were like, Mets struggling on offense again, as we saw, continuing, with the Angels series. And actually pretty interesting because on the on SNY today during the game, they showed that the Mets in the 17 games coming out of the All-Star break, they have actually had the second to worst batting average with runners on base, which was they were only in front of the Chicago White Sox, which not a great stat, to have. If you're the only team in front of the White Sox, shows you're not doing too hot there at that certain aspect of the game. But thankfully, this would be the inning where the Mets finally would break through on Pallante. Jose Iglesias would ground out to Mason Wynn to start the inning, and then the Mets would start right here. Jeff McNeil would hit a single, followed by another single hit by Francisco Alvarez. Harrison Bader, who comes up clutch in big spots, he'd hit a double. Jeff McNeil would score. So Francisco Alvarez would move over to third base, and Harrison Bader would walk into second base with a big double. Francisco Lindor would then walk to set up bases loaded, and then Tyrone Taylor, he comes up big right here. A nice bases clearing double to give the Mets a 5-0 lead. Then Andre Pallante would throw a wild pitch. Tyrone Taylor would advance to third. Brendan Nimmo would then ground out to Brendan Donovan. Then a pitching change for the Cardinals. Sean Armstrong would come in for Andre Pallante, and Armstrong would get JD Martinez to strike out swinging at the end of the inning. Then bottom of the fifth, Victor Scott will be called out on strikes. Mason Wood would then hit a single. He would then steal second base. Tommy Pham would strike out, and Wilson Contreras would fly out to Tyrone Taylor and right. Then moving on to the top of the sixth, Pete Alonso then hit would hit a bloop single. He tried to extend it for a double. Pete really shouldn't. It was a dumb play by Pete. First of all, he wasn't hustling out of the boxes because he thought the ball was going to get caught. and then the ball drops into the outfield, and he tries to leg out a double. I mean, Pete, really, like, you're not fast. Like, just stay at first base and and get the single. But he tried to run that out for a double. He get called out. The Mets would challenge, but the call in the field would stand. So Pete Alonso would be out at second base. Jose Iglesias would then strike out. Jeff McNeil, who's continuing his hot streak, hits a home run to put the Mets up 6-0. And then Francisco Alvarez would strike out the end the inning. Then bottom of the sixth, Paul Goldschmidt would fly to Tyrone Taylor. Nolan Arenado would ground out the Jose Iglesias, and Alec Burleson would strike out swinging, which was a really nice inning for MANAEA because it would be a 1-2-3 inning for him, and he would only do it on a couple pitches, so it would let him come out for the seventh. Then on top of the seventh, Harrison Bader would fly out to Victor Scott in center. Francisco Lindor would then strike out, and Tyrone Taylor would ground out to Nolan Arenado third to end the inning. Then bottom of the seventh would be MANAEA's final inning. Very nice inning from him again. He'll get Brendan Donovan to ground out to Pete Alonso. Then Pedro Pajes, he would strike him out. Then the inning should have ended right here. Victor Scott hit a nice ground ball to Francisco Lindor, and very uncharacteristic for Lindor as he would just botch the play. Should have been a nice 6-3 play at the end the inning, but he would botch it, so Victor Scott would reach base. Then a wild pitch by MANAEA. Victor Scott would go to second base, but thankfully nothing going there as Sean Manaea would complete his fantastic day by making Mason Wynn fly out to Brandon Nimmo on left. So take a look at Manaea's final line: 7 innings, 6 hits, no runs given up, 0 walks, 10 strikeouts, no home runs. Lowers Manaea's ERA down to a 3.30 this season. Just once again, like I mentioned earlier in the video, fantastic start by him. Fantastic. And listen, the Mets need their pitchers to step up big right now because, Sevy hasn't thrown a lot of innings the last couple of years, with his injuries. So we don't know how he's going to be down the stretch. Obviously, like we said before, Sanga's hurt. Christian Scott is hurt for now. Hopefully he comes back soon. But the Mets need their pitchers to start up. And for the last 2 starts, that's what Sean Manaea has done. So big credit to him because he was fantastic. Then top of the 8th, Matthew Liberatore would come in to replace Sean Armstrong. Nice, easy 1-2-3 inning for him as he'd get Brandon Nimmo to strike out. He'd get JD Martinez to strike out and Pete Alonso to strike out as well. So he would strike out the side there. Then bottom of the 8th, Ryan Stanek would come in to replace Sean Manaea, and a nice inning for Stanek as well. He'd get Tommy Pham to strike out. He would walk Willson Contreras, but then on the next pitch, he would get Paul Goldschmidt to ground into an inning-ending double play. Sorry. So nice work by Stanek there. Then top of the 9th, Jose Iglesias would strike out. Jeff McNeil would ground out. Francisco Alvarez would hit a double. Harrison Bader would then hit another double, and Francisco Lindor would ground out the end the inning. Then bottom of the 9th, Edwin Diaz would come in to replace Ryan Stanek. He would get Nolan Arenado to strike out. He would get Alec Burleson to ground out, and then to end the game, he would get Brendan Donovan to fly out to end the game. So, like I mentioned at the start of the video, a nice overall team win for the Mets. You get the really good pitching from Manaea. You get the good innings in relief from Stanek and Diaz. And while the offense wasn't fantastic, you got the big bases clearing double from Tyrone Taylor to win it. So, yeah, now, like I mentioned before, the Mets heading to Colorado. You got to sweep. Have to sweep. No excuses. Anything less than a sweep is a disappointment. Sorry. So, yeah, that was it for the game recap, guys. Like I mentioned before, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe and turn on post notifications. We're probably going to have a Mets Central podcast tomorrow, probably at 1:30, 2 o'clock around there. So, see you guys there. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let's go Mets. Peace, baby.